Hello friends, this video on Kingdom Plantae Part 8 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Here for us to understand these different types of algae. So first we will start with chlorophyceae. The term itself speaks for itself. Chloro, that is from the term chlorophyll. So these chlorophyceae are the green algae. Because why are they green? Because of the presence of the pigment chlorophyll in them. They are autotrophic because they have chlorophyll. They can prepare their own food in presence of sunlight, hence autotrophic. Talking about their habitat, they are primarily freshwater. However, they are also found in soil, tree or bark, provided there is some moisture there. They can be unicellular, colonial or filamentous. We have spoken about each of these types. If you take examples of a unicellular chlorophyceae, it would be Chlamydomonas. If you talk about a colonial chlorophyceae, it would be Volvox. If you talk about a filamentous chlorophyceae, it can be Spirogyra. So it can be one cell, it can be in the form of colonies, or it can be in the form of filaments. Now let us look at some examples of chlorophyceae: Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Ulothrix, Spirogyra. So all these are examples of chlorophyceae because they have the pigment chlorophyll and they are all green in color. So basically the presence of the photosynthetic pigments is the basis of classification of algae. Now let us talk something about the structure of chlorophyceae. Is there anything special about the structure of chlorophyceae, or it is just like any other algae? Let us see. Cell wall is an important part of the structure. So in case of chlorophyceae, they have a rigid two-layered cell wall. There is one outer wall and an inner wall. The outer wall is made up of pectin and the inner wall is made up of cellulose. Now what is the function of the cellulose and pectin? Cellulose, you would have seen that most of the cell walls are made up of cellulose, right? Because it is the main load bearing structure. So it can bear the load. Since it can bear the load, therefore it can protect the material which is present inside the wall. So that is why the purpose of a cell wall is to ensure protection. So cellulose is the main load bearing structure. Presence of pectin, you have another additional layer outside the cellulose layer which is made up of pectin. What does pectin do? It acts as a matrix, a gel-like material in which the cellulose microfibrils are embedded. So it kind of provides a little flexibility to the cell wall. It also gives a support to the cellulose. So together cellulose and pectin can make the cell wall strong but at the same time flexible. So it will be strong also and it will be flexible also. Other than that, chloroplast is seen in different shapes in different species. Chloroplast is a very important component, right? Because chloroplast is the one which will actually contain chlorophyll. So chloroplast can be seen in many variety of shapes. In some it is spiral shaped, in some it is ribbon shaped. If you see the Spirogyra, you see the chloroplasts are ribbon like structures and they are arranged in spiral form, and that is why it got its name Spirogyra. So in some it is in the shape of discs, in some it is in the shape of cup. So they actually come in a variety of shapes in different species of chlorophyceae. Chlorophyll A and B is present. So here what kind of chlorophyll is present? Chlorophyll A and B. Pyrenoids are present. What are pyrenoids? Now the normal cell organelles are all there in place. On top of that, there is an additional cell organelle here that is called pyrenoids. So what is pyrenoid? These are storage bodies in chloroplasts which store proteins and starch. Like how we had vacuole, right? When we talked about the structure of a cell, we spoke about vacuole. What was the purpose of vacuole? It helps in storing food. Right, so generally in plant cells you have a large vacuole which stores food. Now in addition to the vacuole, these chlorophyceae have pyrenoids. They are also storage bodies like vacuoles, but they store starch as well as proteins. Like vacuoles mostly store starch, but they store starch as well as proteins. So it is an additional storage body present inside the chloroplast, and it is present in the chloroplast. So with this, we got an idea about the structure of chlorophyceae. Let us now talk about the life cycle of a chlorophyceae. Now, when I talk about the life cycle of chlorophyceae, we want to see how do they reproduce. So we will see that cycle. Now, they can be isogamous, anisogamous, or oogamous. Now, by now we know these terms. Isogamous means both the gametes will be similar. Anisogamous, dissimilar in size. Oogamous, one gamete will be large and non-motile, and the other gamete will be small and motile. So, it can be any of these. Now, talking about its life cycle, it would be somewhat like this. Let us suppose you have the plant. So what is this plant? This chlorophyceae is an algae. It is a green algae. And what is algae? Algae is nothing but a thallophyte. So it doesn't have distinct stem, leaves and roots. It is just like one structure, one vague structure. So we call that vague structure often as thallus. That is a structure which sometimes look leaf-like, but it doesn't have any distinction between root, stem, leaves and all. Okay, so this is the thallus. That means this is my algae. Now, this mature algae will give rise to gametes. So, it will produce gametes. Now, what will happen with the gametes? These gametes will undergo fusion. So, the gametes will fuse. Now, depending upon what kind of gametes are they, whether they are two different male and female gametes, or they are two similar gametes, or they are two dissimilar gametes, whatever type of gametes they are, they will fuse together. So fusion will happen, and as a result of fusion, a zygote will be formed. Now, when I talk about these gametes, we all know that the gametes are haploid cells. So two haploid cells will fuse together to form a zygote, which is a diploid cell. I don't think I need to tell you what is haploid, what is diploid. Haploid, that is one set of chromosomes. Diploid, two sets of chromosomes. See, it is not possible for me to explain all these basic things again and again. So what I recommend you is, please go through the lessons of class 9th and 10th before we start with your 11th lesson, so that your basics are clear. So now a zygote is formed, and then this zygote will undergo cell division, that is meiosis. Now, meiosis and mitosis, these are the two topics which we will cover in one of our coming lessons. So, meiosis, or which is known as reduction division. So, the cell will divide to give rise to spores. Now, these spores will be formed, and then the spores will germinate under favorable condition to form the thallus again, and again these thallus will give rise to gametes, and the gametes will fuse to form a zygote, and this cycle will keep on continuing. So when I talk about this thallus is nothing but the chlorophyceae, a mature plant. So this is multicellular. So it is a leaf-like structure, as I said before also. So this is a basic life cycle, or a life cycle of any general chlorophyceae. Okay. So here if you see, there is a diploid phase which is involved. Which is the diploid phase? This one. So this zygote is the diploid phase. But the diploid phase here is short-lived. That means the zygote does not remain for a long time. As soon as a zygote is formed, within a very short period of time, it undergoes meiosis and it forms spores. And the spores again, they are haploid. And those haploid spores will germinate to form a thallus, which is again haploid. So the diploid phase is short-lived and the haploid phase is dominant here. So if you see, these spores are the haploid spores and they only germinate. So the haploid phase lasts for a longer time. Again, the gametes are also haploid. But the diploid phase lasts for a shorter time. So whichever phase in a life cycle lasts for a longer time, that is known as the dominant stage of the life cycle. For example, when you talk about our life starts as a small baby. Then we spend our childhood for around 15-16 years. Then we enter our teenage for another couple of years. Then we enter into adulthood, right? And then we again become old, and that is our old age. So these are the different phases of our life cycle. So any phase of the life which lasts for a longer period of time, that is known as the dominant phase. For example, if you say that the adulthood lasts for the longer time because it starts somewhere around say 25 and it ends somewhere around 50. So 25 to 50, that is 25 years you are an adult. So you are in that same phase. So you may say that, okay, this is a dominant phase. So what I'm trying to say is, What do I mean by dominant phase? It is that phase of the life cycle which remains there, or which is long lived, which lasts for a longer period of time. So in chlorophyce, diploid phase is short lived and the haploid phase is dominant. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.